Relevance. Relevance is not only important in teaching English, but it is important in everything that we do in our lives. Relevance means that you are making the learning valid and authentic for your learners if your content is relevant to the skills that you want to develop in your students. If your content is irrelevant to their learning outcomes, then as teachers we cannot blame that our students have not learned. They need to learn whatever we are going to teach them, and it has to be relevant. If we want them to learn reading skills, then we have to make our content relevant to that. For example, if we want them to read between the lines, then we have to produce text which has examples of reading between the lines. If we want them to find out the contextual meanings of things in reading, then we need to inculcate in them to find out the contextual meaning by providing them a text which has a contextual meaning. We cannot develop skills which are irrelevant to the content that we are providing them. That will not be authentic teaching, and that would not be a valid teaching skill. So whatever methods we want to use, they have to be relevant to our teaching skills, and what all we want to develop in our learners, they have to be relevant to that. If we want them to use natural language, then we have to provide them natural language. If we want them to develop a skill of using unnatural language, that means we should provide them with that text. So we should not be expecting what we are not teaching to our students. The relevance is a very important factor to get good results. For example, when we ask our students to read and we are not really paying attention and we are not really developing the focus of that reading material to be understood by our learners, then that exercise becomes futile. The learners are not going to learn the language. They are not going to respond to that language. If later on we are asking them questions on the text that we asked them to read, but there was no relevance of developing the skill of understanding that language, of comprehending that language, of understanding the background of that knowledge, then we are asking for too much. We are not being fair with our students when we are asking them something which was irrelevant to the skill we want to develop in them. For example, there are many cases where the teachers, they design an examination paper without any relevance to what they have taught to their students. The examination paper has open-ended questions and the students may write anything that comes to their mind. It does not focus on a particular skill. For example, it does not focus on the reading skill of the student in the manner that is relevant to be developed in the student. They are just asking the student to read, and out of that reading, they are just marking of the reports or the evaluation tests that they conduct, and that is the meaning of reading marks for the student, that he read loud, whether or not he understood the reference to it, whether or not he understood what was written as contextual in the paragraph or whatsoever. So therefore, the relevance of the topic has to be kept in mind, the relevance between the content and the relevance between the developing of skill. If we do not have a relevance between them, the two, that means that we have not really done our task. We have not achieved the result because we are not going to achieve it that way. The teachers need to focus on why they are doing an activity and how they are doing it and what are they going to get out of it. The relevance of these three threads needs to be there in a teaching lesson. And for reading also, The teachers need to keep in mind that the relevance of the topic to the skill has to be maintained.